Today is April 20th. I'm in Saco, Maine, which is a place I've lived for a while. I'm right now on Saco Island, right near the train station. There's a windmill right behind me. See that? That's off, doesn't work anymore. And if I turn the camera around, you'll see the hill. Hang on. So we're on an island in a river that sits between Saco and that's Biddeford across the way. You can see the lights are out and the heat's off. Everybody's home now because the cars are spinning around in circles in their bubble. If you look over to the right, there's the mill. There's another mill building here. Old tanneries is kind of like, you know, building on top of the stuff in Woburn. Might as well be a toxic waste dump, but boy, I'll tell you, people can live here, right? We're going to take a look at the Indian part of Saco Island, and I got a little story to tell. We're on the east side of Saco Island now. With the prevailing westerly winds, so that's the Saco River down there, but with the prevailing westerly winds, you can see that it's a hill over here, and that was some protection from the winds. And there were campsites right over there at the eastern end of the island, just under the cliffs. It was cliffs. Saco Falls is back there. I'll take a look at that later. I'll show it to you. The campsite was log cabins. That's what Indians had back in the old days. Oh, they call them wigwams and, you know, teepees on the plains, but most of it was actually log cabins. There's a story here I'll tell when I get down by the river there. This is the Saco River, east of the island, goes down to the ocean. It's high tide now. The river's tidal up to about a half mile up the way. We'll go up there later when we go by the mill. Over there's a marina. Some very friendly local types. Wouldn't even let me store my canoe on the river. And over there you can see the building. That's pretty much where the remnants of an old building is, a wall. But that's pretty much where the log cabins were. They were in there. They had campfires and stuff like that. The east side of the island's nice and flat. It's an easy place to live. Go fishing down there. When tide was right. Mud flats out there at low tide. Sometimes the eagle comes down and hangs out the low tide in the mud flats. Got a picture of him once. It's a little too far away. Let me go through the story of the curse of Saco Island. How you can look it up, it's online. But we're here at the spot. In 1675, a group of Indians living on the island, about 100 of them. Nice log cabins. It's all overgrown now, but it's pretty flat right here on the leeward side of the cliff. And a couple of Englishmen came up in boats and met the Indians and wanted to ask them a few questions about what they did. The Englishmen evidently had heard that that Indian kids could swim from a young age, so they grabbed the chief's kid and threw the kid into the drink right over here. I'll show you the spot. They even mark it, although they'll deny it. We'll go over there in a minute. But they threw the kid in the water, had to fish the kid out, and the kid died of exposure about 2-3 days later. And the chief cursed the river. Every year, in recompense for the drowning of his kid, 3 people would die on the Saco River. And the locals say the story's true. It may make it true, given what I've seen around here. We're still on the east end of the island. That's the river. The falls are just about 150 yards upstream. Here's the little flat east end. The path that goes just around the corner there. Right over here, back to, this is where, this used to be, where I'm standing is essentially the old shoreline. It was built out, and the point where the papoose was thrown into the river, it's right here. They even marked it with a yellow marker. That's where the kid hit the water. They don't tell that in the local lore even around here these days. I do know why. Anyway, there's Saco on the other side. It's pretty. River itself, it's beautiful south of here. I've taken my boat down there a couple times. I had a canoe. Took it down the river a couple times, and then my what do you call it? Carpal tunnel kicked in. I had to stop doing it. Just take it out in Boston, the islands too, on Boston Harbor. Just to finish the story, the chief was so distraught at what happened to his son that he called up, got word out to Metacom. That's the Indian name. The settlers disparaged him as King Philip. This was in, I think it was 1675. Got word out to him, and King Philip, Metacom, showed up right at this spot. Looked out, you know, what can you say? That was what they were facing in Boston. Slightly less. There was no curse of the river or curse of anything, as far as I know. Metacom was one of my ancestors, so was Squano. Squano was put in chains and shipped into slavery to Spain, and he got back eventually. And then there was another ancestor of mine was Samoset. All the local New England Indians back in those days. This was part of Massachusetts back then. It's now Maine. Maine seceded, I think it was the 1840s. Well, that's it for now. We're going to do the second part of this. I'm going to talk a little bit about forensic psychosocial historiography, which is a field I basically decided needed to be founded about 15 years ago. I've been working on it since. It's April 20th. I'm standing on the east end of Saco Island, and we're looking back at the west end of Saco Island where the mill buildings are. We'll go up to the river and stand on the bridge and take a look around a little bit. This is the west side of the Saco River. As you can see, there's some falls up there. The two sets of waterfalls. It splits. The river splits the island. Goes on this side and the other. This is literally a backwater. It's high tide now, and I used to live right over the bridge there. You can see it's kind of empty around here. No lights on. Well, there's one light on in that building. It's supposed to be filled with all kinds of people and businesses and whatnot. And this building over here on the Saco Island side, you can see there's all kinds of people home because the lights are off, the usual. Smokestack doesn't work anymore. We're going to take a little walk up the river. Here we're closer to the river itself. You can see it's pretty heavy duty right now. Part of the effect is the high tide, but a lot of it's because springtime is when the runoff from the dam that's about 8 miles upstream of Dayton. You can see it's a pretty heavy duty river. We'll go up to the falls, take some pictures up there and show you that. And then after that's done, I'm going to do the other video. You should note that there's been a lot of stuff going on around here. I go by the penny press rule. If it's in the press, I can talk about it. And if it's not, I generally don't talk about it at all. Because I want to start talking, and I don't in this case. You can see the orange car there. Orange, the color is specific to certain activities done by the locals. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But I will say it's there and it's marked in blue. We're going to head up to the falls. To say some of the knuckleheads really don't understand things. That's a coded message there on the right. And there's... It's kind of interesting here. That's why I decided to show you this a little bit. There's the footbridge that goes over to the Biddeford side. That was just redone recently. And there's the rate team coming off the waterfall. There's some more mill buildings that's over in Biddeford. This is the backdrop for our raging stream. It's pretty cool, huh? backwater line maximum is usually right around here, right where that opening is. We should live right in front of it. There's the stream, more mill buildings. There you can see the fall. A little bit better up above. That's a fish ladder in front of us. We're a little over halfway up the falls now. This is farther than to go. As you can see, it is the spring runoff. Goes like this for a few weeks. The other side is just as packed. That is kind of cool. I like living on the river, this part of the river. Two of the perps just drove by. I'm not going to say who they are. Okay, look at that. 391, it's not empty. Oh, 391 says it's not empty. And here we got this beautiful mill. Two people pretending to live there. Oh, there's one light on, that's good. That's what it should look like, folks. Nothing over there. Not that I can see. And here's another beautiful market. I'll just leave it at that. Looks like SOP to me. There's a Fiat for HQ. It's seeing the shore patrol. Uh-oh. Okay, we're about done here. Now I'm actually going to do that video about what forensic psychosocial historiography is about.